Welcome back to Donson Films. Normally on this channel we break down scripts, we talk about character arcs, and we review the thrillers and dramas that keep us on the edge of our seats. But today we are doing something a little different. Today we are talking about a storyline that plays out every single day in the real world. It's a tragedy, it's a drama, and unfortunately it is entirely real. We are talking about the absent father. There is a massive illusion out there in society, a lie that a lot of men tell themselves when they walk out the door. You know what it is? It's the idea that the kids will be fine, their mother is there, she's a great mom, they don't really need me. That is the biggest lie a man can tell himself to justify his absence. Today, I want to unpack the real psychology of what happens when a father abandons his children. Because the truth is, the mother can give 150%, but the absence of a father leaves a specific kind of wound. A wound that completely alters the trajectory of both daughters and sons. If you've experienced this, or if you know someone who has, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me for this one. Let's get into it. The mother's sacrifice and the unfillable void. Let's start by giving credit exactly where it is due, to the mothers. When a man leaves, the mother is the one left holding the pieces. Women, by nature, are incredibly caring. They have soft hearts, but they possess an unbelievable strength. When the father abandons his family, the mother goes into survival mode. She makes the sacrifices. She works the double shifts. She gives up her own dreams, her own free time, and sometimes her own happiness, just to make sure her kids have food on the table and a roof over their heads. She tries to be both the mother and the father. But here is the harsh reality that we have to talk about. A mother, no matter how loving, no matter how strong, cannot teach a boy how to be a man. And she cannot give a girl the specific validation that she is meant to receive from her father. The father who left thinks they are well fed, they go to school, they have a mom who loves them, they are doing great. He sees them from a distance, or on social media, smiling in pictures, and he washes his hands of the guilt. But what he doesn't see is a psychological scar that is forming beneath the surface. He doesn't see the silent unraveling. The daughter's search for the missing pieces. Let's talk about the daughters first, because the father wound in a young woman is one of the most heartbreaking arcs you will ever witness. When a girl grows up without a father, or with a father who is physically there but emotionally completely checked out, she grows up with a void. A little girl's first understanding of how a man should treat a woman comes from her dad. He is supposed to be her protector. He is supposed to be the first man who tells her she is beautiful, that she is smart, that she is worthy of respect. When that is missing, she enters the adult world and the dating world starving. Starving for male validation. Starving for the affection she was denied as a child. And this leads to a devastating cycle in her relationships. Once she finds a man who shows her even a little bit of attention, what does she do? She pours everything into him. She wants to get what she never got from her father, so she overcompensates. She gives entirely too much of herself. She ignores the red flags. She accepts bare minimum effort because, in her mind, any attention from a man is better than the abandonment she felt from her dad. And the tragedy? A lot of men out there, opportunistic, broken men, will see that vulnerability and they will take advantage of it. They will use her emotional hunger against her. She ends up facing rejection all over again. The exact same rejection she felt from her father, now repeated by the men she dates. And far too often this cycle leads to her ending up pregnant by a man who is not going to stay. Think about that. Because she was trying to heal the wound her father left, she ends up in the exact same position her mother was in. Now, she is facing the probability of being a single mother. The cycle of the absent father just successfully repeated itself into the next generation. It is a generational curse, fueled by a father's absence. The son's anger and the path to violence. Now, let's flip the script. What happens to the boys? What happens to the sons left behind? If the daughter internalizes the pain and turns it into a search for love, the son often internalizes the pain and turns it into anger. A boy looks to his father to understand how to navigate the world. A father is supposed to teach his son how to harness his strength, how to control his emotions, how to treat women, and how to face adversity without breaking. When you remove the father from that equation, the boy is left to figure out masculinity on his own. And where does he learn it? From the streets, from the internet, from movies, from other lost boys who also don't have fathers. Deep down, a boy whose father abandoned him carries a massive weight of rejection. If my own dad didn't want me, if I wasn't worth sticking around for, what am I worth? That question festers. It turns into resentment. It turns into a chip on his shoulder. And very often that unresolved pain manifests as violence and anger. We see this in society every single day. Look at the statistics. So many young men who end up in the prison system, who end up joining gangs, who end up becoming the bad guys in our society. They share one common denominator, a missing father. They act out because they are full of rage and they don't have a positive male role model to grab them by the shoulder and say, "Calm down, be better, I believe in you." Instead, they seek out brotherhood and respect in all the wrong, dangerous places. They become a menace to society simply because a grown man refused to take responsibility for the child he brought into the world. Breaking the cycle. So, to the fathers out there watching this, or the future fathers, do not ever trick yourself into believing that your kids are fine just because their mother is a superhero. She shouldn't have to be a superhero. Your absence leaves a crater. It leaves your daughter vulnerable to men who will break her heart, and it leaves your son vulnerable to a world that will consume his anger. And to the men and women watching who grew up without a dad, I see you. Your father's absence was a reflection of his own brokenness, not a reflection of your worth. In storytelling, the best characters are the ones who break the cycle. They take the trauma of their past and they decide, this stops with me. If you are a single mother raising these kids, you are doing incredible work. If you are a daughter trying to find your worth, look inward. You don't need to earn a man's love by sacrificing your soul. And if you are a young man full of anger, find a mentor. Put that energy into building an empire, not destroying your life. You can write a better ending for your story than the one your father wrote for you. If this video resonated with you, please hit the like button. Share it with someone who might need to hear this message. And make sure you subscribe to Donson Films for more deep dives into the stories that shape our lives, both on the screen and off. And don't forget to subscribe to our other YouTube channel, Todas Historias. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you in the next video. What is up, film fans? Welcome back to Donson Film. I'm your host, Don, and today we are breaking down a thriller that really puts the stranger in stranger danger. We're looking at the indie flick Trust No One. It's a classic be careful what you wish for story that pays some serious homage to the Hitchcockian murder swap trope. Let's get into the good, the bad, and the technical side of this production. The plot. What works? The film starts with a very grounded, high-stakes domestic drama. We meet Molly, who is desperately trying to adopt her stepdaughter Gracie. The obstacle? Gracie's biological mother Heather, who is, to put it mildly, a mess. The court drama in the first act really sets the stakes. You feel Molly's desperation when Heather is violating court orders and showing up at bars during supervised visit. What really works here is the inciting incident on the bus. Molly meets Sophie, a law student who seems like a kindred spirit. The writing in these early scenes is clever because it masks Sophie's true intentions under the guise of commiseration therapy. When Sophie suggests a make-believe plan to kill each other's problems, Molly's ex-wife problem and Sophie's overbearing father, it feels like a dark joke that spirals out of control. The tension ramp-up is solid. We go from decapitated rose bushes to actual murder and framing. The film does a great job of making Molly feel completely trapped when Sophie reveals she has planted bloody hairbands in Molly's house as leverage. The technical, camera and production. From a production standpoint, the film uses several Chekhov's guns effectively. Early on, we see a GPS safety bracelet given to Gracie. At first, it feels like a minor plot point about Molly being an overprotective parent. But the production team weaves it into the climax where it becomes a literal lifesaver after the device is reprogrammed during a kidnapping. In terms of camera work and visual storytelling, the film relies heavily on tight, claustrophobic two-shots during the bus conversations. This creates an intimacy between Molly and Sophie that makes the eventual betrayal feel much more personal. There's also a clear visual contrast between the clean life Molly is trying to build and the dirty evidence, the red wig, the chain used for strangulation, and the transient locations like Boyd Field that Sophie uses to drag her down. The bed. A few critiques now for the bed. The coincidence factor is high. The revelation that Sophie isn't just some random girl on the bus, but is actually Jeff's obsessed ex-girlfriend who was hospitalized after they broke up, feels a bit like a leap. While it adds a layer of fatal attraction to the strangers on a train plot, it makes the world feel very small. Also, the police characters feel a bit like plot devices. One minute they are ready to arrest Molly based on a witness seeing a red ponytail, and the next they found a small potatoes dealer to pin the crime on because of DNA evidence. It's a bit of a convenient roller coaster for the sake of the script spacing. The best acting scene. The standout performance has to be the actress playing Sophie. She transitions from a supportive friend to a cold-blooded sociopath seamlessly. The best acting scene in the film is definitely the confrontation between Molly and Sophie's father, the judge. This is where the movie flips. Molly is there to warn him that Sophie wants him dead, and the judge has to deliver the heartbreaking backstory of Sophie witnessing her mother's suicide. The shift in the judge's performance, from an arrogant, powerful man to a broken father who realizes his daughter is a murderer, is powerful. But Sophie's dialogue in the murder swap pitch is also top tier. When she pushes Molly to say, "I want her dead," and then immediately pivots to, "So what is the plan, Miss Lawyer?" It's chilling. She plays the unhinged but brilliant role perfectly. Final verdict. Trust No One is a tight, effective thriller. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it uses its production elements, like the GPS bracelet and the legal ethics subplots, to keep the audience engaged. If you like psychological games and deal with the devil scenarios, this one is worth a watch. That's it for today's review. Hit that subscribe button, let me know in the comments what you thought of Office Game, and I'll see you next time on Donson's Film. And don't forget to subscribe on our other YouTube channel, Todas Historias. Peace!